that they must observe the iddah.
That's right.
So how does that reconcile with what you were
The
saying?
whole point of iddah is if they're pregnant or not.
Okay. That's the only purpose.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm just telling you something.
So you're basically saying, then, just to make sure,
The worst
that
is
they
that-
don't need to be married to these women.
Exactly.
They could just have sex with them.
Exactly.
So that makes it even worse.
I'm just telling you.
So basically, it's permissible for Muslim men to rape female captives.
rape.
Rape. I'm using the word rape. Female captives. And I'm going to explain that by going to a number of sources, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
Sure. If you make it like 15 minutes, your time, and then you give me 15 minutes. For example,
Okay, yeah, that should be fine.
it's
Yeah.
nearly 10 to 5.
Okay.
So 5 past 5, wherever we are, we're going to stop there. And then I will ask for 15 minutes, and you can carry on again if you want to on the same one. No problem.
Okay. Just give me a second. Let me see if I can
Because the
find it.
thing is, if you carry on one thing, the other person will never have a chance.
Okay,
Because there's the
I'll deal
layer
with this topic. Just this topic about the female captives being raped, yeah? I'm going to be reading from Sahih Muslim, 1456. I don't know if you want to get the hadith up. And then I'll read from Surah 4:24, which is in relation to the hadith. So it reads, this hadith has been reported on the authority of Abu Said al-Khudri through another chain of transmitters, and the words are, they took captives, meaning women, on the day of Autus, who had their husbands. They were afraid to have sexual intercourse with them when this verse was revealed. And women already married, except those whom your right hands possess. Right? Now I'm going to go to the chapter and verse which has that revelation. And it reads, also forbidden are married women except female captives in your possession. I'll read again. Also forbidden are married women except female captives in your possession. This is Allah's commandment to you. Lawful to you are all beyond these, as long as you seek them with your wealth in a legal marriage, not in fornication. Give those you have consummated marriage with their due dowries. It is permissible to be mutually gracious regarding the set dowry. Surely Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. So I've read the entire verse for context. Of course, you can read in other places if you want. So what am I saying here? So in Surah 4:24 it says, also forbidden are married women, meaning you can't marry them, right? And then it goes on to say, except female captives in your possession. Now this is directly in relation to Sahih Muslim 1456, because in Sahih Muslim 1456 this verse was revealed. And I read again, it says, they took captives women on the day of Autus who had their husbands. So these women, right, were married. Their husbands were alive, they were not widows. And because of captivity, it was permissible for them, for the Muslims, to marry them and have sex with them. So that's permitting adultery. It's also rape. Why? Because these women who are married are hoping that their husbands will ransom them and free them from captivity. So they're not afforded the opportunity of being ransomed. Instead, they're married off into their captors' families. And they're having sex with their captors against their will. Why? Because they're already married women. Interestingly, in Surah 4:24, it says, also forbidden are married women. So it acknowledges that you shouldn't marry a married woman. You shouldn't have sex with a married woman. But then it disregards that statement or that law if they've captured a woman.
Right.
So she's no longer considered married, even though she is. And she's forced into a relationship or a contract in which she's having sex with a man whilst being married, whilst already having a husband who may be elsewhere or maybe captured somewhere else. What's my point? It's promoting adultery.
Yeah.
Is promoting rape, is prohibiting the captured wife from being ransomed or being freed from captivity, because she will be in the the wife of this, the man who's captured her. That woman is taken away from her family. She might be a mother. She might have children. She's definitely a wife. And she's now being put into this man's house. Why? As a wife? Because he wants to have sex with her. And there's a key part here in Sahih Muslim 1456 where it says, they were afraid to have sexual intercourse with them. So they understood that it was wrong because they were married. And that's when conveniently Allah reveals this passage. Oh yeah, guys, and those of whom your right hand possess. So now is a convenient time where they can actually have sex with these women through marriage. Promoting adultery, promoting rape, because these women would not have consented to marrying these men if they were also married.
Got it.
That's my point.
Okay. So in the olden days, when you, in the war, when you capture anyone, they become your possession. Both sides. There was agreed upon both armies. Anyone win the battle, whoever is get captured is their property. Unless somebody want to free them to pay for their money and they can take them. But here in this hadith, what you read it, one point is missing about iddah. You have to wait for the waiting period. It's not like that they're going to sleep with them straight away. They have to let them finish their iddah. Without iddah, they will not be able to. So once the iddah is finished, then they are permissible to sleep with them because that's their property. They don't have to. They can give them away. But it's not like, as you say, it's a rape. It's agreed upon. The women knew that when they're coming to war or any war will happen, what will happen to them if they lose? The other will take them. This was on both sides. That was not like Islam was introducing it. What Islam introducing here is the period of iddah. I'm going to read you two hadiths. There's one hadith in Abu Dawud. Actually, I'm going to read this side. Similar hadith, but what you missed the passage which added, you have to let them finish their
When you say I missed the passage, you mean that I didn't refer to a hadith? Because I read everything within the passage.
Yeah, Muslim is not explaining full.
Okay, so I didn't miss a passage then.
In that there was a missing thing.
Okay.
Because when you want to read any scripture, you have to understand holistically.
I understand.
Whatever hadith is regarding about this, you have to see all the hadiths to see the full picture.
Okay.
I'm going to read Nisai.
Okay.
Nisai, book of Nisai 333.
Let me get it out.
3333.
Free. Give me a second. Let me just get it out.
So the first point I'm making is that in the wars in those days, when you capture somebody, that's agreed upon, that's their property.
Okay.
And Islam, what we believe is, if they become your slave, their marriage is annulled.
Okay.
Their marriage is annulled. There's another hadith when some women came leaving Makkah, coming to Medina, leaving their husband because they want to accept Islam. They don't want to be with them.
Okay.
So their marriage was annulled.
Okay.
Because they are mushrik and they become Muslim. So in a similar way, when they become your property, their marriage is annulled by law of Islam.
Okay.
If they become your property, unless they want to take them back.
Okay.
If they can't take them back, then they're your property and their marriage is annulled. So Nisai say it was narrated from Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anh that the Prophet ﷺ sent an army to Awtaz. They met the enemy, fought them and prevailed over them. They acquired female prisoners who had husbands among the idolaters. The Muslims felt reluctant to be intimate with them. Then Allah, the Mighty and Sublime, revealed the verse of chapter 4, verse 24. Also women already married except those whom your right hands possess. Meaning this is permissible for once they have completed their iddah. Similar hadith in Abu Dawud as well.
Okay.
I'm just going to give you a number.
Should we go to it? Let's check it out.
Abu Dawud, very similar hadith. Abu Dawud 2155. Same thing. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said the Messenger of Allah sent.
1 second. Let me just get up. 2155. Yeah.
2155. It's the same thing like in Nisai and explaining the same thing. In the end, it says.
Just read it from you, the whole thing.
All of it? Okay. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said the Messenger of Allah sent a military expedition to Awtaz on the occasion of the Battle of Hunain. They met their enemy and fought with them. They defeated them and took them captive. Some of the companions of the Messenger of Allah were reluctant to have relations with the female captives because of their pagan husbands. So Allah the Exalted sent down the Quranic verse, and all married women unto you, save those whom your right hand possess. This is to say that they are lawful for them when they complete their waiting period.
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi is also confirming that, and Nisai is also confirming that.
Yeah.
So yes, on the face of it, it looks like that you are taking away from their husbands and you're sleeping with them.
Yeah.
Once they have become, but in Islam, once they become the captive, their marriage is annulled.
Yeah.
Because they are in your property now.
Yeah.
So their marriage is annulled.
Yeah.
Unless they want to buy them back, they are your property. They want to give you money and they take them back. Any prisoner, man, woman, anyone who's been paid by their tribes, you can give them back. You don't have to hold them.
Okay.
But if they're not, then they are your property. What do you do with them? Either you can marry with them, or they'll be your slave, and you allow to have sexual relations with them.
Okay.
That was allowed in Islam, but talking about the iddah period. Rape is not, you don't wait for iddah. You know, iddah in Islam is 4 months for a Muslim woman, but if it's a mushrik slave, it's 1 month iddah period. So, rape is like you're sleeping straight away, you're forcing them. Here you waiting for 1 month, when the iddah is finished, then you can sleep with them. There are, I mean, because I didn't come prepared with this whole topic, but
well, we don't know what you're going to be.
There are another hadiths as well, another scholars as well, that you cannot force on anyone.
Okay.
You cannot force sex with them.
Yeah.
Once they understood, now they are your property. That was the culture at that time. They understood that. So I'm this person's property.
Yeah.
That person can sleep with me.
When you say the culture, you mean?
Yes. I mean, yes, at that time it was understood.
Okay.
Once you are their property, once you are their slave, then their master can have sex with you. But Muhammad Sallallahu also said that anyone, the best thing you can do to a slave, you teach them, educate them, and if you can marry with them.
Yeah.
If you marry a slave, I can find the hadith for you after if you want.
That's fine.
There will be a double reward for you if you marry a slave woman. That's a double reward for you. Muhammad Sallallahu also says that. What I'm just trying to say is, this topic you need to understand holistically. There's all ahadith about this topic, then you make the picture what is it about. Okay. So as you put it, it's just forcing yourself upon that. It's not like that. There's more to it.
Okay, can I respond
but
to
I'm
you?
accepting that is allowed in Islam.
Okay.
I'm not running away from it.
I appreciate your honesty. Thank you for your explanation. I'm going to see if I can respond to a number of points that you made.
Cool.
The first thing is that you say it was common at the time, or it was accepted at the time, right? Just to clarify. But if that was the case, then these men wouldn't be cautious. They wouldn't have been reluctant. The fact that they were reluctant meant that it wasn't the proper thing to do. It wasn't something that was being done at the time, right? Because you'd have to explain their reluctance. They were reluctant because they knew it was wrong. That's why I said in Surah 4 verse 24, it gives a description. It says, those who are married are not lawful to you, except those whom your right hand possess. In fact, when you look at verse 23 and 22, it's telling you who are permissible and who are not permissible for marriage. Yeah. Right? So it's telling you that those who are captives are now permissible to satisfy these men who want to have sex with them. Now, another thing that I want to talk about is the iddah period. I think you said it was like 1 month in this situation, right? When I'm talking about rape, I'm not necessarily talking about that they had the sex then and there. I'm talking about a coercive relationship. I'm talking about these women who were female captives were coerced into marrying, that they didn't want to observe an iddah period by their own choice. Why? Because they had their own husbands. Why? Because they had their own children, right? They're hoping that their husbands are going to free them from captivity and pay a ransom. So they're thinking, I want to go back to my family. They're not thinking that I want to be with this man who's captured me. So even if they wait 1 month, 3 months, it doesn't matter. The contract was done under coercion, under undue influence, and against the wishes of those who were captured by these Muslim men. So that's what I'm saying when I'm talking about rape. And there may have been cases, we don't know if any of them forced themselves upon them, But there may have been cases where that happened. But if we're going strictly by the hadith, that's what I'm saying. Coercion, undue influence to marry someone against their wishes, regardless of a waiting period. Right? And the fact that this needed to be brought down and revealed by Allah demonstrates that this was not common practice at the time. Right? That's something that I really want to highlight. And it's so even on that basis, then it supports adultery, because anyone who you would speak to about what the adultery means, it means having external marital relations with someone other than your partner, other than your spouse, right? As far as the husband's concerned, these women who are captured are their wives. They want to be reunited. They want to pay the ransom. Do you understand? So they've been robbed of that opportunity because the Muslim man wants to have sex with these women and marry them in order to do so, against their will, against their wishes. That's why I say that it's rape, and that's why I say that in the period in this scenario means nothing, because the marriage is not even consensual.
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Because the time is almost up, 15 minutes,
Yeah,
but let me answer that. So, first thing you say, you imply that in that time there cannot be a culture because they were reluctant.
Yeah.
You're implying that it doesn't say that they never knew this kind of a thing is possible or not.
It's not an implication. Just to clarify,
Yeah.
it's not an implication. It says that they were reluctant.
Yeah. They're reluctant.
And then a revelation came,
Yes.
which means that they were doing something that hadn't been done before.
No. That's where you're wrong. You're implying that never happened before. It doesn't say the hadith doesn't say that was not.
So what was the purpose of the revelation?
That's what you're implying.
So what's the purpose?
I'm going to imply something as well.
Okay.
I'm going to say this: since they become Muslim, they were not sure now they are Muslim. Is that possible? Because many things Islam says is not allowed. This is not allowed. Things have changed. So it's possible, as you imply, I can imply that as well. It's possible that they thought, since we become Muslim, we probably will not follow what other people are doing. We might do something different. So that's why they came to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So because in the verse before it says you cannot marry your nursing mothers, all these kind of things. So this verse, it says this verse revealed, verse 24.
Yeah.
It doesn't say the other verses revealed with it.
Okay.
Meaning Quran came one by one, 3 verses, and the Surah and Sahih is long Surah. So we can understand probably the other verses of verse 23, verse 22, they probably were already revealed, and they knew who they can marry, who they can't marry. So that's why they were not sure. Can they do anything with them? Can they have sex with them? So Allah confirms that yes, you can. Your reluctancy, Allah can see it, but Allah allow you that you can do that. So, but by you saying that there was not culture like that at all, that was the implication. That may not be the case.
What I'm saying is that there's no need for a revelation if it's something that was commonly practiced, whether by Jews, whether by Christians, or the people that came before the Muslims.
But they are Muslim now,
right?
So they don't know what is allowed and what is not allowed. So
these women were captured, right? And yeah, according to what was revealed, it was permissible for these women to be married to these men, although they were already married. That's what I'm saying is adultery. That's adultery, right?
What we're saying is it's annulled. In Islam,
of course,
anyone comes to you or become your captor as well, even they come to you as well, they don't have to go back to their husband.
Yeah.
They can stay with you and their marriage got automatically
and
allowed.
I'm saying that's a law that permits adultery, and I'm saying that it's also rape, because these women who are already married have husbands, have their families that they're hoping and praying to go back to, right?
That's another thing he says, they can't buy them back. Hadith doesn't say they can't buy them back.
No, but if they're married,
Islamic law is anyone.
Okay, let me paint the picture. Let me paint the picture. Then, a woman is taken into captivity, right? She waits for the Iddah period because a man who captures her wants to have sex with her. He wants to marry her for the purpose of having sex with her, right? It makes it very clear in this in the hadith. Let me read it. Their intentions for marrying the woman. Let me make sure I can get it up. It's right here. I've got it. This is Allah's commandment to you. Sorry, the hadith. Sorry.
Which are these?
Sahih Muslim 1456. I'll read this and then I'll make the point. Let me know when I can read it.
No, go on.
It says, they took captive women on the day of Ortus who had their husbands. They were afraid to have sexual intercourse with them. When this verse was revealed, and women already married except those whom your right hand possesses. So the purpose or the intention for them marrying these women was to have sexual relations with them. Now, if he marries, if these Muslim captives marry these women, right, and they're having sex with these women, then these women become their wives, we would argue, unlawfully. However, the Quran permits it, right? Now, when the husband is trying to pay a ransom, that's if there is a ransom, because he might not even have a ransom because he values the woman as a wife, right? It's a difficult situation because he's now taking a woman, or he's trying to pay a woman, a ransom for a woman who's already married to another man. She might even have kids with this man now. We don't know how long this could be going on for. She might be pregnant with the man.
That's why the iddah. That's what the iddah is there.
No, I understand.
Iddah will see if
no, I understand, but I'm talking about. Imagine I'm the husband who wants to. Imagine I'm the husband whose wife has been taken into captivity. 6 months later, I get a chance to pay her ransom, and I find that she's pregnant with another man's child. And Allah is saying that it's permissible, and that my marriage with her means nothing because it's been annulled because she's captured. Right. How am I even going to pay that ransom?
That's not her wife anymore.
You see what?
That's not her wife anymore.
You see my point, and that's why I'm arguing. That's adultery and coercion. Why? Because the woman who's got a husband that she's looking forward to being reunited with, remember, she's a captive. She's going to be afraid. She's going to be in fear. She's going to be worried about her life. She's not going to know what this man wants to do with her. That he marries her, he takes her in, has sex with her. She's pregnant. She can't now go back to her husband. He might not even want her because she's pregnant. You see the difficulties in this. So the point that I'm trying to make clear is that teaching adultery, Surah 424, is teaching rape through coercion, through undue influence. It's not regarding the permission. Like you said, she's property, right? So she has zero rights in this situation. It's not like she can say, no, I don't want to marry you. She's forced to observe the iddah. Because if she's already married, she's not going to want to marry somebody else. She's going to want to be reunited with her husband and her children.
I got that.
Yeah?
Yeah, because we're going much over time.
Shall we conclude it? I'll let you conclude and then we move on to the next one. Yeah.
And then if you want to say, what I'm saying is, this is also can be taken as a deterrent. What deterrent is? You are coming to fight, or you're fighting against the Messenger of Allah. You're fighting against Rasulullah, his army. So make sure you do not get into that. If you're fighting, then you should know what will happen to you. You will become slave. Either you will get killed, or your wife will get slaves as well. So that's also but you can still buy them back if you can buy them
after they're married. Yeah.
No. If you can buy straight away any slave, woman, man, anyone captured, Islam allowed to take it back. I don't want to get into Bible, but if I talk about Bible, which I'm going to talk about right now after that. So Islam, there is a deterrence as well.
Yeah.
Look, you do not have to do that. You do not be enemies of Islam.
Okay.
Because if you got to get enemies of Islam, there will be a punishment as well. There will be something to be followed as well. So that also work as a deterrent as well.
Okay.
So the answer to your question about, I already say if she's pregnant, obviously iddah is there. So it's not like straight away you raping a woman, just giving them time to buy them back as well. Okay. That's all I can say at the moment. You want to conclude it because I'm...
No, I think we said enough. I know you want to... You have a schedule that you need to keep.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on to the next topic?
Yes. My question towards you is,
okay.
And I'm going to be, ironically, very similar question. Very, very similar. Now my question to you is, you're talking about adultery here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to talk about father sleeping with a daughter.
Okay.
In the Bible.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the word for that? I forgot.
I don't know. You're gonna have to.
You know, when the relationship, marriage, family relationships.
Okay.
What's the word for that?
Incest.
Incest.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. Incest. Now I'm going to read in the Bible, book of Genesis.
Give me a second.
Now we're talking about complacency of God So we're going to talk
Genesis, yeah?
about it. Genesis chapter 19. You know the story of Lot.
Yes.
Okay,
But do read the parts that are
backdrop of the story is, I just want to say.
Genesis, what chapter?
Genesis chapter 19.
19, yeah?
So
I'll let you have your time to explain.
yeah,
yeah?
Sodom and Gomorrah happened. Angels came to Lot, warned him, Lot, you have to get out of here because we're going to destroy the city. They have crossed their limits. We're going to destroy them. Angels coming to Lot, warning him. You say he's not a prophet. We say he was a prophet. Whichever, but he has communication with the angels of God. You agree with that, yeah? Angels of God. So angels of God warned him. Everything was destroyed. Even his wife was killed as well, destroyed as well.
In the city or on the way?
Outside the city. His wife looked back and she was killed as well.
Okay.
The point here is, then who left? His daughters and him alone in the cave. Now I'm going to read few passages, few verses.
Where are you reading from? Sorry.
Genesis 19 verse 31.
Yeah.
Now they are in the cave and their father is with them as well. We saw Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed. Almost a meteors came there and destroyed. And the verse 31 says this, and the firstborn said to the younger, our father is old, and there is not a man on earth to come into us after the manner.
Sorry, what translation are you reading from, just to make sure?
ESV, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. ESV, yeah?
I think it's ESV.
Can you see?
RSV.
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 What is that? I'm not familiar with that translation.
What translation do you want me to read?
Okay, read it as you want to. That's fine.
You can correct me
wherever. No, it's fine.
So they say.
Can you read from 31 again, please?
Okay. And the firstborn said to the younger, our father is old, and there is not a man on earth to come into us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, meaning have sex with him, that we may preserve offspring to our father. So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father. He did not know when she lay down or when she arose. And on the next day, the firstborn said to the younger, behold, I lay last night with my father. Let us make wine. Let us make him drink wine tonight also. Then you go in and lie with him, that we may preserve offspring to our father. So they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. Thus both the daughters of Lot were with child of their father. Verse 36, yeah? So I'm going to read up to that verse. Now the point here I'm trying to make here is,
can you just read to the rest of the chapter? It's only 2 more verses.
Two more verses, okay, fine. The verse 37 says this, the firstborn bore a son and called his name Moab. He is the father of Moabites to this day. The younger also bore a son and called his name Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites to this day. So Moabites and Ammonites coming from the children of adultery. If adultery, actually incest. They are the tribes come from the incest. My point here is this: the daughters thought there is nobody left in the world. Everything is destroyed. That's what the verse says. Whatever happened, there is no one left on the earth. Only is our father. So they make him drunk. They slept with him first night, and then there's a day between that, and the next night there's the second one slept. My question is this: God knew that they were wrong when they said that there's no one left on the earth. That's not true. There were other people living in the earth, even Abraham. Abraham, do you agree with me? Sodom and Gomorrah only destroyed, not the whole world was destroyed. Yes, the girls are thinking the whole world is destroyed. All God needs to do is this, like He's sending angels to people all the time. He sent a vision to a man, the king who wanted to sleep with the wife of Isaac, the king of Philistine. He wanted to sleep with the wife of Isaac. He had a vision of God. She is his wife. Do not sleep, otherwise your whole nation will be destroyed. Same thing happened with Pharaoh of Egypt, who had a Sarah in her custody, and he had a sleep dream of God, that I will destroy all your people and everything if you sleep with this woman. And he called Abraham. Abraham, is it true that she's your wife? Abraham says, yes. Why did he tell me? My whole nation could have been destroyed.
Yeah.
So he had a warning, Pharaoh, from God. The king of, I forgot the name, king who was in the time of Isaac, he had a vision of God warning him what he's thinking is evil. What I'm saying is this, why God did not send an angel to the daughters of Lot. So you are stupid, you're wrong, there are many men outside, your father is not the only man left. There are many men outside, so you don't have to do this. Even if they done that, first night, Lot is drunk.
Yeah.
Man of God is so drunk, he had sex with his daughter. Why God didn't send angel to Lot the next day? There's a whole day in between. Lot, do you know what you did last night? You slept with your daughter.
Yeah.
Why no angel came to warn him? And this is what your daughters are thinking. Or before that happened. What I'm saying is that God of the Bible is so complacent here. He saw the incest is happening towards the man of God, his man of God Lord. His daughters are doing this and he let it happen. He didn't do anything about it beforehand, like he done for Sarah and Isaac's wife Rebecca, and how he protected them. My question is, why God was complacent? Why God didn't stop it?
Why God was complacent? Why God didn't stop it?
He could have, isn't it? He done it in the other examples.
In the other examples, if you don't mind, you mentioned one about Isaac as well.
Yeah.
Do you mind bringing that one up? Something that I just want to clarify.
I know I can bring the Genesis 12, where Abraham happened. Abraham and
where the king Abimelech was warned or something.
Huh?
King Abimelech was warned about him taking another man's wife or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
Warned by who?
By God in a dream.
Exactly. So God warned him.
Yeah.
The king of Egypt was warned. So God warned him, what are you going to do is, it's terrible, I'm going to destroy everybody. So God warned him there because he was going to commit a big sin, sleeping with the wife of Abraham. Yes?
Yeah.
But God, my question here is, why God didn't warn daughters of Lot and Lot himself? Why God stay quiet and let it happen?
Yeah. Well, one thing that I want to just be to clarify, you said in verse 31 that they believed that there was no one left on earth.
Yes.
So let me just read it from the BSB, which says, one day the older daughter said to the younger, our father is old and there is no man in the land to sleep with us, as is the custom over all the earth. So their understanding is that there's no man in the land. It could be understood within their land at the time, not necessarily the entire earth. That's the point I'm making. So you're saying then that they needed to get, or Lot needed to get...
What translation you read?
The BSB.
ESV.
BSB. Let me read the King James.
But hang on a minute. Right.
So you're trying to say, I just want to clarify, that they understood that there was no man on the earth, the entire earth.
That was the most of the translations are saying that.
So you believe then, I'm just trying to make sure I understand, that God's morality in the Bible is questionable because
he's complacent of incest.
He's complacent of incest.
Of incest.
So if there were other examples of incest that took place, you would expect him to intervene, whether it's Lot or anybody else, or is it because Lot was considered a righteous man?
Exactly. That's because of that.
Okay.
Because Lot already has communication with God, and they were not normal people. They were special.
Well, he had communication with God or with the angels. Because let me make a distinction. This is actually a very big distinction. I'm glad you brought it up. Abraham spoke to Yahweh. Lot didn't speak to Yahweh. Huh? There's a distinction between Abraham and Yahweh, according to our scriptures. Lot spoke to the messengers of Yahweh, or the angels as they're known as, right? The two men that came.
I never say you spoke to Yahweh, I say angels.
But Abraham did. In fact, the men that you describe, I think Abraham and Isaac, were the ones whom God had spoken to.
Yes.
Which is also very important that their lineage is pure. Why? Because through them came the children of Israel. through whom came our Savior Jesus Christ. Why is this important?
These girls.
Why is this important?
Children of incest.
No, you didn't hear what I said.
Ancestor of Jesus were the children of incest.
Listen to what I'm saying. You made an argument about Abraham and Isaac.
I'll give you an example.
Let me clarify. Let me clarify. It's very important. There's a distinction between Abraham and Isaac and Abraham and Lot in our scriptures. Abraham and Isaac and Lot in our scriptures.
Right.
Lot never communicated with God.
Okay.
Right. So you might say he's a righteous man, but he's not of the same.
Nobody's saying that he's the same.
No, but this is why it matters, because the example that you gave of Abraham, the example you gave of Isaac, are people who communicated with Yahweh, people through whom God's promise was going to be fulfilled, not necessarily Lot, right?
Right.
And as I mentioned before, the lineage of Abraham, the lineage of Isaac is very important, because that's the lineage for whom the Messiah would come, Jesus Christ. Remember, God made a promise with Abraham that it will be through his seed that all nations will be blessed. Never made that promise to Lot. So the care and concern that God has for Abraham to Lot will vary, because the promise was made with Abraham and not with Lot. In fact, when there was a dispute about Lot's servants and Abraham's servants, they agreed to go in different ways. Lot chose Sodom, and I think Abraham remained in Canaan, right? But the promise was always with Abraham and his seed. So it makes sense that God would make a distinction between the two of them. That's why I wouldn't say that it needs to be the case that Lot was warned in a dream, because there was no promise that was going to be fulfilled, to my knowledge, through him. Makes sense, however, with Abraham.
Okay. So good. Lot was important enough man that God sent angels to save him and his family. He was important enough that he will destroy everything else. But warning Lot, you get out of here. Why? Because Lot was a very important man for God. He was a righteous man of God. He was a holy man of God. That's what the angels are communicating with him and telling him, you and your family go out, because you are a righteous family. And the very righteous family, a few days later, they are thinking one of the biggest evil you can imagine, sleeping with their father. Daughters are thinking sleeping with their father. All God needs to do is just send vision or some angel that what you thinking is totally wrong. There are other men outside, and you say land. Majority of the translation say earth.
Yeah, we'll take the earth.
They thought all earth.
Yeah.
That's finished. Our father is the last man ever left.
Yeah.
All God needs to send is just one angel. No, there are other men as well. Imagine if they knew that there were other men, they wouldn't even thought about evil like that. Because that's the reason they thought about it, because they thought he's the last man and his seed needs to be saved. So the point I'm trying to make here, God could have sent angels to them, or God could have warned Lot. Your daughters are very stupid and they are planning something very evil. Do not drink alcohol, do not get drunk, and do not have sex with your daughters. But God didn't do that. My question is, God communicated with him through his angel. Why he didn't communicate with him? Why God was complacent? For me, that God is not a very moral God, that he let this kind of a sin with a righteous family, righteous people. They could never have thought that unless they thought there was nobody else left. So I'm saying that the God here is totally wrong, and God is complacent with incest. You talking about sleeping with slaves in Islam? Here God is complacent of daughters sleeping with the father who was a righteous man. I cannot believe that kind of a God. I cannot worship that kind of a God.
I understand. I mean,
it's the same example like Muhammad Sallallahu doing something and Allah is not warning him. Or even his Khalifas or something he's not doing and Allah is not inspiring them.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your threshold, then I mean, I don't know what's stopping you from leaving Islam, because of the many moral issues within the religion, as I highlighted before. However, let me respond to what you're saying.
One last point. Sorry, we'll just one last
point. I'm trying to remember all the things.
One last point. Just hold on. Just 20 seconds.
Yeah, sure.
And actually, you're talking about Isaiah, you're talking about Isaac. From him, his lineage will be Messiah will come. That's what you said earlier, yes? But from one of the daughters of, is in the genealogy of Jesus Christ. One of the daughter's child is in the genealogy of Jesus Christ in Luke or Matthew. I can show it to you later on. but you're talking about the Messiah coming from there. One of their child was the ancestor of Jesus. I don't know if you know that.
Say that again.
One of the child of one of the daughters, one of Moabites, one is
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's correct.
One of their children
Ruth.
are the ancestor of Jesus Christ.
You're talking about Ruth.
So you're talking about Isaac's genealogy. Messiah will come.
Yeah.
From Isaac. So the children of incest, from there Messiah actually come as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about Ruth. And I can touch upon that actually.
Yeah, you know that.
She married Boaz, and she's like the great grandmother of King David, I believe.
Right.
Right? You said quite a lot. I'm going to try and go through it bit by bit. If you recall in the book of Genesis, especially in chapter 12, if I remember, or 13, Abraham actually saves Lot. Right? Remember, Lot's taken captive, his family, and he goes to war with about 318 trained men from his household and rescues Lot.
That's right.
There he gives a tithe to Melchizedek after, which is another topic, and then rescues also the people of Sodom. Right? Now when we look at Sodom, it was destroyed because of their great sin. Sin of homosexuality and maybe many more things. When you look at the daughters of Lot, their action shows where they actually came from. Right? Lot was a righteous man. Doesn't necessarily mean that his wife and his children were righteous. You also have to bear in mind, looking at the importance of Abraham compared to Lot, it was Abraham who didn't just fight to save Lot. Remember, Abraham saved Lot. Lot didn't save Abraham. It was Abraham who also interceded for Lot when God said he would go and destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. So I'm just showing you the differences between Abraham and Lot. They're not. That's what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's not. I'm not saying that Lot's not a righteous man. He is. But he's not on the same caliber or category as. I have to make that clear because I talked about the promises of God. Now, why did God allow it to happen? Why didn't he give a specific warning at that time? It connects to my argumentation about the differences between Abraham and Lot. If Abraham was, if Lot had the same promises as Abraham, then perhaps that would be the case and we wouldn't be having this discussion. It happens to be that that's not the case. And as you understand, as us Christians and Jews don't revere Lot, although a righteous man, as a prophet, which you do. So you're also speaking from that perspective.
We believe he's a prophet.
Yeah, you're speaking from that perspective. Now, the point that I want to get to is, I feel like, if I'm being honest with you, it's a weak argument. Because you're basically saying, oh, why did God allow this to happen? So you make it very clear that God prevented certain things from happening in other situations. When it comes to men he had a promise with. And that's the key word, a promise with. You'd have to identify the promise that he had with Lot that would make him important enough for God to intervene in such a way.
That's not
as far as I'm concerned, or I'm aware, God never made a promise with Lot. He made a promise with Abraham. Another thing is, you mentioned the point that the Moabites, who were of the children of
one of the
incestuous act, ended up becoming. I would, if I'm being honest with you, describe that as God's mercy. Why? Because in the example of Ruth and Naomi, you see Gentiles being brought into the faith of Judaism. So even when we look at the lineage, and you're right to point it out, the lineage of Christ, even Jews can't say strictly Jewish because they have a mix of Jew and Gentile. So Christ has been showing us from the very beginning that he's come for all nations, not just Jews. So that's how I'd explain.
I only say that because you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Messiah was going to come from the lineage of Isaac.
Yeah.
I only mentioned after that, since you mentioned the lineage, because it was Isaac was so important.
Yeah.
That's why God warned the king of another tribe to do not sleep with Rebecca, because he says Isaac was very important. That's why God intervened. Because from his lineage, Messiah will come.
Yeah.
So I say, well then, lineage of Lot.
Oh, by the way, God also spoke to Rebecca because she got the revelation about her sons in her
That's
womb.
the point I'm making here. Because lineage, you bring the lineage in. Because lineage is so important. That's
Yeah,
why God,
it's part of God's promise.
But
That's
then
what I'm
again,
saying.
if you see the lineage of Lot, is Messiah come from as well. Because from Lot, Moabites come.
Yeah, but Lot never had the promise.
No, but the Lot, talk about lineage here.
Yeah.
From Lot, Moabites come, according to their words.
Yeah.
Moabites come from one of the son of that woman who gave birth.
But let me add to that then. Let me add to that. We can also look at.
Finish my point.
Oh, sorry. Finish your
So
point.
that's the reason I bring this in, because from the lineage of Lot is also Messiah come. And one last point I'm going to make, because you just made. The reason I'm only saying that, I'm not comparing him with Isaac or Abraham. I'm not. What I'm saying is, few days before, angels are coming to Lot and telling him, get out of here, or God's going to save you. God doesn't want to save them. God wants to save your family. The angels are so much in communication with him. But few days later, God and angels are quiet. Let this thing happen, which is the incest. One of the worst things you can imagine, much more than you sleeping with a married slave women. Then sleeping with your own daughter. It's such a big sin in the eyes of God, sleeping with your own daughter.
That he didn't, but he didn't do it willingly. He didn't do it willingly.
I'll let you finish.
No, but he didn't do it willingly.
I know.
Yeah.
I'll let you finish. What I'm saying is, I know he didn't do willingly. God could have warned him, can he not? God told him that sin, when God cannot see the sin Sodom is doing. God let this sin happen. A man sleeping with his own daughter. Man sleeping with a man, God doesn't like it. But man sleeping with his daughter, God is totally quiet. God is not sending his angels. Well, he's not warning him, your daughters are thinking of one of the evil. This is my problem here. Why God has one of the biggest sins you can imagine. God is complacent. I say complacent because he's quiet. He could have sent angels. So this is my whole point here. I'm not comparing with, don't say I'm comparing with Abraham and Isaac. I'm not. I'm only saying that he is a man who's communication with God's angels, but this time not. That's my point.
The fact that you brought up Abraham and Isaac as a comparison means that I have to show the distinction between the two of them.
I agree with
right? Is that fair?
I agree with
right. So that's why I have to. No, I understand your point, right? And another thing that you have to bear in mind as well, which I want to make crystal clear, is that Lot didn't consent to this. When we look at what was happening in Sodom and Gomorrah, the people who were destroyed were those who are consenting to the evil. And what makes things even worse is that they were saved. These people who were destroyed were actually saved by Abraham beforehand when he rescued them when they were in captivity.
Right.
So they should have known better. Instead, they were destroyed because they hadn't changed their ways, and only one person to be found righteous in there was Lot. And that was proven to be the case because his wife looked back and his daughters did that very despicable thing. No one is saying that what they did was right, but no one could accuse Lot of being guilty of sin because he didn't do anything. He was completely unaware. I want to make that crystal clear. Now, if you're saying to me why did God allow it to happen, right, my answer remains the same. He's not a prophet of God. He doesn't have the promises of God, and there's many things in this world, sadly, that are disgusting, that continue to happen that God doesn't necessarily intervene with in a divine way. That's the best answer I could provide you with. I don't know how much time we have.
You give me 20 seconds before I conclude.
Yeah.
Because you have my point.
Well, have we done the time?
Yeah, I think his time is up.
Yeah. Okay. Let's conclude and then
just 20 seconds. You totally got it wrong. Not once in my whole point I accuse Lot at all.
I'm just making that clear.
No. Not once I say. You make it up like that I'm accusing Lot. I never accuse Lot.
No, I'm not saying you are.
Yeah, no.
I'm just making it clear.
No. You just said the Lot is not to be accused. It's not his fault. I never made that point.
Okay.
I'm accusing God of Lot. I'm accusing him not intervening and stopping as he always stopped, as he warned Lot earlier about he's going to destroy the city.
Yeah.
Why he didn't warn that your daughters are thinking evil? Why he didn't even send one angel? Daughters, I know what you're thinking, that there's no man left. But you know what, surprise, you're wrong. There are so many men. Because the whole point they had a sex with their father, they thought there's no other man left in the world. And that makes sense, obviously, in some ways. If they're the last people. All God did is just say, there's many men. They would have said they would have never done that kind of a sin. I'm saying why God was complacent, why God didn't stop it. That was I'm accusing God of the Bible.
I know you are, yeah.
Not Lot at all.
I know.
He was drunk.
And I've given you my argumentation.
He cannot not take alcohol. I could say that.
I've given you my, just to respond to that.
But but the way you portray it, that I'm accusing Lot.
No.
I have to
Let me clarify. I'm not saying that you're saying that.
I'm accusing the God of Lot.
I get that, but I'm also clarifying for those who may not be familiar with the story that Lot didn't consent to this. That's the point that I'm trying to clarify.
All I can say, Lot could have stopped not drinking. He should have said, I don't want to drink.
It was given to him by his daughters. He may have not been aware.
Yeah.
And like I said, these women came from a very nasty place, a place that was destroyed by God.
They were so righteous that God saved them. If they were not righteous, God would have destroyed them.
Well, it was on account of Lot's righteousness.
I know.
And also, you can also say maybe Abraham's, because it was Lot is Abraham's nephew.
Nephew, yeah.
So I think we've reached the time now. I don't want to go over the time.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a conclusion on the whole thing, and then, like, you want to say your final words?
I made my conclusion.
So I'm going to do a wrap up then, and then maybe we can next time have a discussion on something else.
You have another question.
No, I think that was it.
Yeah, no, I can allow you another question.
No, I need to have some water and take a break.
Yeah?
Yeah, and we
can have
we've discussed two topics.
Yeah, okay.
If you want to, next time we can discuss another two topics.
I can have a conclusion on that then.
On what we, do you want to...
Whatever we talked about.
Yeah.
Whatever we talked about. So his point about God in Islam allow sleeping with married slave women, I said that was the norm of the wars. In the battles, when you capture everybody, anyone, man, woman, they become your property. Both sides, they do the same as well. But in Islam, you are allowed to give back the captures as long as they pay you the ransom for the captures. So that was also a deterrent. When you come and fight with the messenger of God, you will not go let free. If you don't fight, we're not going to come to you. But if you want to come and try to destroy the messenger of God, you have to pay the price. And sometimes the price is the women become the property of the Muslim soldiers and army, and after Iddah, they are allowed to have sleep with them, to have sex with them. It's allowed after Iddah. And there are other ahadiths as well, where Muhammad says that one of the best things you can do to your slave, you teach them, and you will get double reward if you marry with them, slave women. Muhammad encouraged to marry slave women and to teach them as well. That was the first point. The second point I made it, that the God of the Bible was complacent towards Lot's daughter sleeping with Lot one night after the other. I'm saying when God intervened in many things in the Bible, why God did not intervene and just telling the daughters of Lot, you are wrong of you thinking, you should not think about it, and why angels didn't come to Lot and say your daughters are thinking one of the greatest sin, imagine, they want to sleep with you, have sex with you, do not. Why God was so complacent and quiet and didn't stop them? I say this is not a very moral God who let this one of the biggest sin, incest, happen, and he didn't do anything about it.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll try my best to conclude the whole discussion. Where can I start? So I was making the claim that the Quran teaches that adultery is okay and that rape is okay, because it teaches that it's permissible for Muslim men to marry married female captives. Now, obviously there's a lot wrong with that. The argument that I was making is based on a Sahih Muslim hadith, and also Surah 4 verse 24, which talks about those who are permissible to you. It was interesting thinking about it. It was interesting that Abbas takes issue with what he claims is problems with God's morality in the Bible, where he doesn't seem to value the problems with the morality in the Quran. But essentially what I was saying was this, is that these Muslim women, they were taken captive, they were married, they had husbands, they had non-Muslim. I apologize, yeah. Sorry, this guy is in my ear. Sorry. These women were captives of war, prisoners of war. They had husbands. And these men who captured them, they wanted to have sex with them, so that was the only purpose for them marrying them. Conveniently, at the time that they wanted to have sex with them, a verse came down, a revelation came down that says, and those of whom your right hand possesses, which was a great revelation for those men at the time, because they knew that it was wrong to sleep with married women, because in the same chapter and verse it says you're not allowed to sleep with married women, they're prohibited to you. So he mentions about the Iddah period, but it doesn't really matter anyway, because if these women are already married when they're captured, then they've got husbands, they've got children, they've got mothers-in-laws and fathers-in-laws that they want to return to. They're hoping that they will pay the ransom and free them from these Muslim men. Instead, these Muslim men marry these women only because they want to have sex with them, and they're denied that opportunity of being ransomed, or even if they are, it's at that time they've already had sex with these men and maybe are even pregnant with these men or had child with these men. That's promoting adultery because it's encouraging Muslim men to marry, or saying that they are allowed to have sex and marry and have sex with women who are already married. That's adultery. It's also encouraging rape because these women would not consent to marrying another man if they are already married, right? They wouldn't consent to that if they have families with another man. That's where the rape is. So it's forced marriage, it's non-consensual marriage, it's marriage through undue influence. Now to talk about the claims that Abbas was making in, sorry it's getting a bit loud, the claims that Abbas was making in the Bible about Lot, I made a clear distinction between Lot and Abraham. God didn't make a promise with Lot. There was no promise that through Lot's children all nations of the earth will be saved. That promise was made to Abraham. It was fulfilled through Isaac and his seed, which ultimately culminated in the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Right? His argument, I think, if I'm being honest with you, is completely weak. I mean, you could argue, why didn't God intervene in many other things? We can see that there are clear distinctions with Abraham, with Isaac, and with many more people from whom a promise was made. Like I said, God never spoke to Lot. Lot spoke to the messengers, the angels, but Abraham and Isaac spoke to Yahweh himself. So these are the clear distinctions that need to be made in order to understand why God may have not intervened in this situation. You have to also bear in mind that these women, or these daughters of Lot, came from a place that was destroyed, Sodom and Gomorrah, and their actions are reflective of that. I'm not saying that what they did was good, it was very disgusting, but to pin it on God and say, why didn't God do this and why didn't God do that, is, I think, a ridiculous argument to make. That was a good discussion we had. I look forward to talking with you again. It's always a pleasure.
If you want to talk about it, we'll talk about it. No.
Yeah? Okay. God bless you. Did you want to talk more, or do we want to save it for we should maybe save it for next time?
I'm here for another hour or so. If you have any questions.
Okay.
Yeah,
let me get a drink of water, and then maybe we can have another one, yeah? Quranic preservation or...
No, whatever you want to have. Any question, I'm up for it.
Yeah? Okay, we'll talk again soon.
We'll run away from question. I'm so proud of my religion.
Yeah.
Anything you have,
I can see that.
I will try to, yeah.
Yeah? God bless you. It's good to...
One point I want to give it to you. You could have made a stronger argument.
Yeah.
I'm giving it to you, look, as a
Go on, yeah.
That is honest. You says about this women of slave women, Muslims marry you slave women who were already married.
Okay.
It's not talking about marriage here. It's talking about just having sex with them.
Okay.
So that could have made your point stronger.
Okay.
It's not talking about you can marry with them. You can have sex with them.
That's what it's talking about.
But you keep using the word, they allow them to marry with them.
Yeah, but the reason why I've done that is
that
because...
would have been, I'm just saying that will go in your way.
I understand
and
that.
because that's the honesty. I'm not just talking about, this is honesty is this. Allah is not talking about here marriage.
Yeah.
Allah says you can have sex with them.
Yeah.
In that you can marry as well, or without marriage.
Oh, without... Okay, so you're saying then, let me understand this.
I'm just
so you're understanding.
I have to be honest.
So wait. So what, if that's the case then...
I'm not going to
wait,
that point now. I'm just telling
then
you.
what relevance is there of the Iddah periods? Why would the Iddah period... You said...
In case they are married, pregnant. In case they are pregnant.
No, but you said to me...
Like that period is for the pregnancy.
No, but yeah, but you said to me in the discussion that they must observe the Iddah.
That's right.
So how does that reconcile with what you were saying?
The whole point of Iddah is if they're pregnant or not.
Okay. That's the only purpose.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm just telling you something.
So you're basically saying, then, just to make sure,
the worst
that
is
they don't need to be married to these women.
Exactly.
They could just have sex with them.
Exactly.
So that makes it even worse.
I'm just saying you.
So basically, the women are married.
Because you didn't know that, so I have to be honest with you.
Okay.
That this, your argument will be even stronger.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you.
But I appreciate the honesty.
And I'm saying that that's allowed.
No, I appreciate the honesty, but I'm even more disturbed now. right?
But I from the very beginning I said that. Muhammad Sallallahu says, if you marry them, you will have a double reward. Meaning without marriage, you can have a second reward.
I understand.
Okay, I'm just telling you for the next time.
Thank you for the tip, and thank you for the honesty. Yeah?
Look, we are searching for the truth,
Yeah.
so we have to be honest. Even if it goes against us, Allah says, be just, even be against yourself.
So then that would make the point then.
No, I say as a Muslim,
So,
I allow
so,
it. That
so,
was-
so you accept then that would be rape then?
No.
Because if these women are captured and these men can have sex with them just because they're captured, you're saying that that's
Next time
consent.
when I come back, I'll show you. You cannot have sex with them without consent. I'll show you that.
I think the evidence is clear that that's not the case. But let's talk again soon, yeah?
No worries.
Yeah. All right. God bless you guys. We've basically concluded. If you want to follow me on social media, you can search for me on YouTube. Type in @Timothy of Speakers Corner. You have to put the @ in there first, otherwise you won't find my channel. So yeah, just subscribe if you want to support me, guys. Anyway, God bless you, and I'll see you soon. Take care.